Grateful Living welcomes you to practical Christian living and giving in tough times. Whether there is a national concern affecting a large population or whether it is just you and your family, when tough times come, we want God's guidance in how to handle life's issues.
Hi, I'm Ray Hartwell, Director of Grateful Living for the Georgia Cumberland Conference.
And I'm Stephen Reese, Associate Director of Grateful Living. There is a common phrase in America called keeping up with the Joneses. It means we are tempted by the urge to match the purchases and the lifestyle of people around us or the people that we see. However, the real truth is the Joneses had it all wrong.
That's right, Steve. One of the secrets to practical Christian living and giving in tough times is to give up on that race with the Joneses. We don't need to impress people we hardly know by spending money we can hardly afford to have things we will hardly use. In fact, Jesus warned about wanting what the Joneses have and trying to keep up with when he said, "Be careful to guard yourself from every kind of greed. Life is not about having material possessions." Luke 12:15.
Facing a tough time in life, it is a good time to reevaluate just what your priorities are or have been, and what were the motives behind those priorities. Proverbs 3, 9, and 10 says, "Remember God from the first. Honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first fruits of your increase. So your barns will be filled with plenty and your vats will overflow with new wine." One Christian author also reminds us that you are his agents, holding his property, and his claims should have your first consideration. That's in Counsels on Stewardship, page 323.
Yeah. Now, Steve, the Joneses almost never remember to put God first. And they're deeply in debt, and they're fearful of losing their possessions. Instead of keeping up with the Joneses, go this route instead. After returning God's tithe and your offerings, go for contentment. Instead of keeping up with the Joneses, be content with what God has provided you. God's word says godliness with contentment is great gain, 1 Timothy 6:6. Remember, no one ultimately cares what kind of car you drive or what size of house you live in or if you had designer clothing that you wore. They care more about how you treat them and what kind of character that you have. So discipline yourself to pay cash and not purchase things with debt. One Christian author says bluntly, avoid debt like you would smallpox.
Think of it this way. Take care of your house first. If you have a mortgage, pay that down early instead of loading up on the toys that all the Joneses have around you. Invest in a savings account for an emergency. Start with a $1,000 emergency fund. Then work to put 3 to 6 months savings away in that emergency fund.
That's right.
Right now, 40%, check this out, 40% of American households cannot pay cash for a repair of an unexpected expense of $400 or more because they have so much consumer debt, high interest credit card balances, car loans, and the list goes on. In fact, 78% of American households today live paycheck to paycheck. That includes the Joneses. Do we want to keep up with them? I don't think so.
Yeah, Steve, it's like your mom may have said about some of your friends' choices when you were growing up. If everyone else was jumping off a cliff, that doesn't mean you have to. Let the Joneses go ahead. On the long run, you will win the race of life if you definitely take a different route from them and don't try to keep up with them.
In fact, in Hebrews 13, 5, and 6, and I love this, let your conduct be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have. For he himself has said, I will never leave you, nor will I forsake you. So we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me?
Grateful Living, along with each of the ministry departments of the Georgia Cumberland Conference, are glad to serve you in your Christian growth.